guys, welcome back to my channel. Please do like, comment and subscribe down below. So for today's video, I'm gonna be suggesting books that I've read so far that I think, since we all on lockdown and some countries are on quarantine or self-isolation, whatever the situation is in your country, I thought I could just throw out some books that I've read and enjoyed. And most of my books, honestly, are like African literature. All the ones I'm gonna recommend, actually, except one, are all African literature. That's what I enjoy. Like for me, I need to slow down. For me, I don't do self-help books. I don't enjoy them. I've tried reading The Secret, this other book like from a long time ago about how to be rich, and I can't. I get bored. Like when I read, I need something that's gonna make me escape from my reality. I don't want to read something that's gonna remind me that I'm broke. Like I know I'm broke. And I feel like with these self-help books, you need to be someone who's actually dedicated to whatever change you want to see in your life. And for me, I just feel like I'm not there yet, and maybe that's why I don't really enjoy the books and they bore me to death. The only one I've read and actually finished was Poor Dad, Rich Dad, and Naleyo. Oh my gosh, it took me forever. And the only reason I finished it was because I'm someone where if I start a book, I have to finish it. So with that one, I just pushed myself until I finished it, and it wasn't a lot of pages. But with The Secret and the other one, which I forgot, Think Yourself Rich, I forgot, man. But I couldn't, guys. The guy just went on and on about this one story, and I was just like, no. But anywho, so I've always loved reading from primary school. If you went to primary school or high school with me, I was that girl whose face was already, like my face was always in a book. I used to get in trouble because when the teacher was teaching, I was busy reading. I was obsessed with Sweet Valley High, middle, when they were in middle school, when they were in kindergarten. Like I've read most of the Sweet Valley books. I read the Mary-Kate and Ashley. Like guys, I was just obsessed with reading when I was young. Like it was my passion. And then as I got older, I don't know, I just fell off from it. I think I started liking other things that weren't even productive to my life. But like, I think these past 2 years, I've actually gone back to reading. And when I went back to reading, I actually fell in love with African literature. And now it's hard for me to read anything else. When it comes to English literature, actually, I don't know if it's English or should I say American literature, the one book I have loved and read so many times, let me check if it's here. Yeah, the one book I've read so many times, but at least 5 times. I read it when I think the first time I read it, I was in grade 6 or 7, and my brother was in grade 11 or 12, and they had it as part of their syllabus for the year, and it's called How to Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Like, this is like one of my favorite all-time books. It just has so many life lessons in here. I've never lived in America. I don't know what life is like over there. But and I like when it comes to slavery and stuff, and the whole race thing around there, like I'm not really familiar with it except what I've seen in the media. But like, it's a really good book because it touches on race and on acceptance and respect. Like I would definitely recommend this to anyone. If you're bored, like, get yourself this book. And I'm sure you can even get like a site to illegally download. Not that I'm promoting criminal activity, but if you can't go out to buy a book, like, just download it online way too. it'll be fine, nothing's gonna happen to you. So this book name is about a lawyer, Atticus, who has 2 children. Is it Scout? Yeah, Scout and Gem Finch. And the book is based around his 2 children learning to navigate life in their street. I forgot what's the name of the street, the town. I forgot. They're trying to navigate life around that town, and they're learning about their neighbors. And as they grow older, they come to realize that life is not all roses, and they see the discrimination and the racism that happens around them. So it's like a really, really good book. So I'd suggest it for anyone who loves that sort of thing. And warning, most of these books actually touch on race. So if you're someone who's sensitive about race things, then yeah, you might as well click off, because you won't like any of these books because they all touch on race. Guys, all the wine glasses are broken at home, so I have to use this one. Please don't judge. Next up, I have this book, I Do Not Come to You by Chance, by Adaobi Tricia Nwaubani. Like, guys, I'm not, I think the author is Nigerian. I'm not Nigerian, so I don't know how to pronounce it properly, so please don't be offended. This book is about a young man who grows up in a poor family, who I think the father passes away, and then he moves in with his uncle. He moves to town with his uncle, and then his Uncle Boniface is like a con artist. I'm sure everyone has received those messages up where they're like, "Hi, my name is Mang Mang. I am the Prince of Where. I need your help to get my inheritance." So basically, that's what the uncle was doing, and then he gets the young man involved into the whole things, and then you just learn how the whole scamming thing is all about. And this book is based in Nigeria. So yeah, it's also a good read. I've enjoyed it very much, but it's more it's set in modern times, Yona, and they call the people Yahoo boys or something. Basically, those guys, those Nigerian guys you see on 90 Days to Wed, it talks about them in this book. I am not discriminating, God, like we all know. Next up, I have So Long a Letter by Mariama Ba. And then this book is about a widower. Yeah, for a woman, it's a widower. It's about a widower who is writing a letter to her friend explaining her current situation since the husband passed away, and also she's reminiscing about the past. This one is also an African literature book. Like, guys, books by this African writers series classics, like, honestly, like, I would recommend them. If it has this, buy the book. It's very good. Like, their books are very, very good. So let me read what it says at the back. It's the blurb, I think. So Long a Letter is a sequence of reminiscences, some wistful, some bitter, recounted by Senegalese school teacher Ramatolaye Naleyo. Guys, I'm not Senegalese. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Who has recently been widowed. The letter addressed to a friend is a record of Rama whatever's emotional struggle for survival after her husband's abrupt decision to take a second wife. The novel is a perceptive testimony to the plight of those articulate women who live in social guys, I don't know, dominated by attitudes and values that deny them their proper place. Now this book, I think, is meant, you see those people who are on Mnakwethu, this book is meant for them, because basically this woman is widowed, and before the husband passed away, he married a much younger woman. And in South Africa, we've actually been seeing a trend of this thing of taking second wives. For the life of me, I do not know why. And at first it was like wealthy guys, but now it's even the, I don't want to say poor, but like the broke ones, nabo, they've joined the association. I'm like, how are you broke and taking a second wife? I am not judging, but before you get married as the second wife, just read this book. It's really good, and you'll kind of shift your perspective towards the whole thing. Phew, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me, I have sinuses. And next up, I have Kintu by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. So the blurb for this book goes, in this epic tale of fate, fortune, and legacy, Jennifer vibrantly brings to life this corner of Africa and this colorful family as she reimagines the history of Uganda through the cursed bloodline of the Kintu clan. The year is 1750. Kintu is set out for the capital to pledge allegiance to the new leader of the Buganda kingdom. Along the way, he unleashes a curse that will plague his family for generations, blending oral tradition, myth, folk tale, and history. Makumbi weaves together the stories of Kintu's descendants as they seek to break free from the burden of their past to produce a majestic tale of clan and country, a modern classic. This book, I actually enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot of pages, as you can see, it's quite thick, but it's a good book. You won't get bored. Basically, what the book is about, it's this man, as they said, it's based in 1750, Kintu, who's like I think he was the chief of his village, but he was like he was a leader in his community who goes to the capital. Something tragic happens along the way, and a curse is triggered on his family. And then throughout the book, you just see how the different family members, like generations later, are trying to navigate their lives as they face this curse that the family has. And some people believe in it and some don't. But you see how it just evolves and it all comes together at the end. So it's also definitely a good read. Next up, I have Houseboy. Also, it's the African Writers series, and it's by Ferdinand Oyono. So this one is Houseboy is written in the form of a diary kept by the Cameroonian houseboy Tondi, an innocent, fascinated and awed by the white world, the world of his masters. When the head of the mission to whom he is devoted is killed in an accident, Tundi becomes the boy of the local commandant. His dream is all of advancement and improving himself, and to this he studies his new world too closely. Gradually, his eyes are opened to its realities, and in the end, this leads to tragic consequences because the Europeans cannot endure the gaze of the man they have destroyed. Okay, the next 3 books I'm going to show you are honestly sad. Like, it's books that for me, they actually invoked a lot of emotion. Like, I don't know how to explain it without, like, I don't know. This book, for example, is about a black man, an African man, who basically worships white people and their way of living and looks down upon his own people, especially those he deems uneducated, because they might not be able to speak English, or they don't have the traits of white people in them. So he judges them on that, and he looks down on them, and he tries to align himself with white people the most. And at the end, he is reminded that he is not part of them, and he will never be part of them. So it's actually a very sad book, and most of the African Writers series books are based around that theme. But for people who love anything to do with race and African history, it's not exactly the history. It doesn't explain the history as Africa per se, but it gives you an overview of what has happened in Africa in the past. Because for me, I felt like I've never been to another African country besides South Africa. I've been to Europe and stuff, but I've never been to another African country. So by reading these books, I've somewhat gotten an idea of that what has happened in South Africa was something that happened in the rest of Africa, and it's something that we all as Africans have in common. So it's actually a good read also. Definitely recommend it. Next up, I have A Grain of Wheat by this one is even worse. The name Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Like I am butchering these names, you guys. Like I feel ashamed of myself as a fellow African. And then this one, the blurb says, set in 1963, A Grain of Wheat tells the story of Kenya on the verge of Uhuru, its Independence Day. The novel focuses on Mukho, a man affected by his childhood, the years in the state of emergency, and his own demons within. While Mukho's home village makes preparations for Kenya's Independence Day celebration, former resistance fighters General R and Koinandu are busy making their own plans to publicly execute on the same day the traitor who betrayed a heroic resistance fighter hailing from the village. The story unfolds as we learn of Mukho's involvement in all of this. So this book, I actually read it a while back, and I remember it was a good read, but for the life of me, I do not remember the details properly. I just have a faint idea of what was happening in the book, but I know I enjoyed it, so I'd still recommend it even though I don't really remember what happens. But it's also a good book. And Yona, it's more like politically based. It's that's what I remember, guys. And then my favorite out of all of these is Things Fall Apart. And this book is by Chinua Achebe, I think, ne? And the blurb goes, Okonkwo, a great man in Igbo traditional society, cannot adapt to the profound changes brought about by British colonial rule. Yet, as in classic tragedy, Okonkwo's downfall results from his own character as well as from external forces. Now, this one is honestly my favorite one that I've read out of all of these African literature books. It's sad. It's very, very sad because basically it's about Okonkwo, who is like a great leader in his community, and something happens that is very profound in his life and that changes the direction of his life. and he has a son, Nyowe, I think, yeah. And his son is deserts him and his ways and decides to lead the missionary life, which is something very sad for his father because he doesn't understand what's going on. So for me, it's a book that basically talks about how Nigeria, they transitioned from being a very traditional system into then the white missionaries coming in and everything changing for them. So it's a definite like 10 stars for me. I feel like this is a book that everybody needs to read. It's very, very, very good. Like, it's the best one. This one and A Grain of Wheat are definitely the ones I'd recommend to read. Even though A Grain of Wheat, I don't even really remember what it was about, but it was good. I know that for a fact. And right now, while on lockdown, I bought this one. It's Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. So I've heard a lot of things about this book, and I'm only on page 10, but so far it's promising. But I'll just probably be done within the next 3 days, because when I'm someone who reads a book, I want to get into it and be done. Actually, I might even be done by tomorrow, knowing me, if I just decide to dedicate my every hour to this book. So guys, those are my recommended books while you're on lockdown. If you don't have them with you, then you can download them online. You can buy them in an ebook store. The ones who don't mind illegal activities can illegally download them. They're all very good books that I have enjoyed reading, and I would recommend them to you guys. And even if you like out of lockdown or isolation or whatever, I'd still recommend you read these books. They're like really, really good. And for me, like, African literature so far has like, it's been the best. So guys, I've definitely enjoyed these books, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.